Hey, hi, this is Shivani. Thank you so much for joining another Lead Squared Roundtable. We are specifically discussing insurance today, essentially Insurance 2.0, defining a new insurance experience in the digital age. I have a fabulous panel today, as you can see. We have Mr. Jayamit Doshi, who is the CMO, Marketing and Digital at Aditya Birla Capital Life Insurance. We also have Mr. Nimish Agarwal, the Senior VP and Head of Marketing at Max Bhupa Health Insurance. We have Mr. Rishi Mathur, who is the Chief Digital and Strategy Officer at Canara HSBC OBC Life Insurance. And as always, we have Mr. Nilesh Patel, who is the co-founder and CEO of Lead Square, to moderate the session. So maybe a couple of points that you could hear about today are, of course, we will be discussing how to turn your customer experience into one that ranks with leaders both inside and outside the insurance industry. We'll be talking about personalized communication and, of course, innovating the customer service approach. With that, I will hand it over to Nilesh. Just a quick tip to everyone who's joined: please post your questions here. We will be taking them up towards the end of the session. If we have a poll or two, please be kind to answer that as well. With that, over to you, Nilesh.
Thank you so much, Shivani. As always, thank you for organizing this session. Thank you all the panelists for making out, finding time to participate in the session. I really appreciate your valuable time here. So I'll start with Jayamit. And I've known Jayamit for several years now, and I've seen him crisscrossing. Of course, he has spent a lot of time in insurance space. So Jayamit, since you've seen when Policybazaar was not a big company till now, right? I mean, you've seen that growth of that company, and of course, that has impacted the digital experience of the customer. So love to hear if we traverse back 5-10 years. So how things like the major changes which happened over the last 5-10 years, like the key bullet points if you'd like to highlight, and then looking at the crystal ball and saying what is that you see in next maybe few years from now, basis what you have looked at. I would say from a customer acquisition perspective, maybe one, and the retention and the customer service. Love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, thanks, Nilesh. You're right. Policybazaar is the big daddy in the room when you look at digital. And I think there is a lot of credit that we as the insurance industry owe to Policybazaar. So many years ago when he started off, I think he was first in the business of selling leads, and he tried to automate the journeys, and he tried to do a lot of value. And today, where he's sitting and the amount of valuation that he's been able to generate is a testament to the fact that what he brought to the industry. Now, what actually happened is, to be extremely fair, I was not in the insurance industry when Policybazaar first came in, and I was on the outside, was fairly associated with finance, and everybody was looking at Policybazaar as the Johnny come lately, कि कुछ तो कर रहा है, खुद तो lead बना रहा है, खुद तो कर रहा है. So people derided him, गाली दिया, किसी ने काम नहीं किया, किसी ने उससे काम किया. लेकिन hats off to the guy, he's been able to really build a significant business model that is focused on actually adding value to a lot of people who bought. I think the industry first chose to, as a whole, some of course accepted it, but some as a whole first chose to ignore him, then chose to humor him, and now has chosen to really be in bed with him and say, what is the value you can get in. And I would give him a lot of credit to say, to bring digital to the center stage, to the ability for he was able to scale and get significant amount of business on the table, which made him a significant player for all of us to look at him. And therefore people started saying, bhai, digital kuch to hai. CEO started understanding that digital kuch to karna padega. And he brought digital closer to the center than anybody else. So people like Policybazaar, CoverFox, and Not of the world, etc., are helping bring the conversation among digital center stage. So there is no doubt in my mind that he's played a long role, a very significant role in the digital mind space that most CEOs should be able to look at. If not for him, I think it's anybody's guess what would have happened. But if you actually again look at the basic statistics, digital per se is still a very small percentage of
I was
everybody.
about to ask that question.
तुम आप कैसे भी देखो, digital तो आज भी छोटा है as a percentage of total business.
So what percentage is that today? Like what's
It is in single digit percentages, and it is small. And if I put everybody's together, it is still in single digits. So it's, see, the majority digital today is still largely sold as term plans and term insurance. And a lot of people over here in the industry know that term is a small percentage of the total industry per se. And uske upar digital is a small percentage of term.
So Jamil, let me ask this question, and sorry to interrupt.
Boliye.
When you say, so there are two perspectives. One is number of transactions, which is number of policies sold, and second is the value of it, like the gross premium. So when you say single digit percentage, is it in the number of transactions or
both?
Okay.
Both.
And interesting. Okay.
So
yeah.
So just to this telescopes into your next question, कि future क्या है?
Correct.
Okay. There are multiple views of the future. Okay. Now, one can argue that today term is being sold. Tomorrow, more such products need to be sold. Policybazaar also is doing a stellar job on the others. People are awakening to non-term as an option, but non-term has its own challenges. There is complication around it. There is a give-get. There is a whole entire sales angle to it. In many ways, people say, no, insurance is sold, not bought in some sense. How does that get translated into a digital experience? Is still in the crystal ball space. It's not that most people seem to have cracked it. There is no easy comparisons between different sets of players. And now the challenges are multifold. And now the fun will actually start. So over there, just to, again, think it in perspective is, digital Policybazaars and other aggregators and everybody brought to play that policies can be sold online. There is a way to compare, there is a way to make easy, and there is a way to sell it. That's fair. Now the next question is, there is a D2C self-service market, direct to consumer servicing. There is a little bit of nuance over here. A large percentage of these D2C sales, still there is a telecalling intermediary. So it's not like it is completely self-service. To 90+% of the market, or even 95-98% of the market, is still through an intermediary. Now, digital, when we look at it, is not necessarily pure D2C, but it is the digitization of this entire process and the way we look at it. So the future of digital, the way I look at it, the way I believe one should look at it, and I could be right or wrong as time will tell, is that when you look at all the learnings of digital and you say, not just my consumer is my consumer, but my intermediary is also my consumer. And I use digital as a way to extreme productive.
To drive productivity across the various process areas of driving the consumer acquisition, basically.
Correct. So now when you put it in this perspective, the market is 100% and we are only at 2%.
Got it.
Digital per se, if you look at it, is still at the cusp of it. I think the whole journey is still left. And my favorite example of this is, every intermediary should become an Iron Man. He's a simple human being with a complete veneer of technology. And once you're able to crack the code on this, the Iron Man code or the Iron Man initiative, then you're talking great sense. And then you're talking true digital play, where you're able to acquire your intermediaries and service them and service the customer and everything at scale.
So basically, then I can raise a Series C valuation, Series C funding very quickly. Then, right? Is that what?
नहीं, आप Series C छोड़ दो, सीधा Series D पे चले जाओ.
Okay, let me bring Nimesh in, sir. So Nimesh, I think we were talking before we started this event, and I had a brief look at your profile as well. It's interesting to see that you have a very different background, and not necessarily from insurance. There is definitely a consumer work you have done a lot in Naukri and before, and you also were with Britannia and the classic players. So now you are in insurance. Now you're with Max Bupa. So love to hear, coming in from a different perspective, like a different side of the tech internet business, and looking at insurance from your eyes and your lens. Of course, you have been in this recently, but what do you see now, and what's the current assessment, and where do you see it going from your business perspective?
Thank you, Nilesh. And good afternoon to everyone who's there on the call. I'm a fairly new entrant to insurance, but uh, been doing marketing for a while now. So while the fundamentals remain the same, there are two, three very interesting things about insurance, which at least all the research and the consumer immersion sessions that I've kind of gone into, uh, what I've heard, what I hear people say is that that's very different from what it was about. It's a fairly dinosaur kind of an industry. It's not a very new industry. Now, two three things which I think has happened on the wake of the health crisis that we're still into. The first one is, as Jamit mentioned, that there's a very strong point of view that insurance is sold, it's not bought. Okay, it's a very push category of sort. And I working in a health insurance company now. What I know for sure is that insurance has become a dinner table conversation. Okay, insurance today uh, has got a very very different meaning because it was something that you were buying into from a future value. You would never use it, and you would also not imagine a scenario that you will actually use it. Okay, but what people have seen, what all of us collectively have seen in the last 18-19 months, is that boss, yeah, this chata is very important, and rain is happening all across. I'm lucky that it hasn't happened on me, but at any point in time, it also, so that's one thing, that the conversation of insurance has moved from what to how much. Okay, nobody now kind of questions ki insurance chahiye ki nahi chahiye. I think that's one big shift that's happening. There's a lot of sensitization. The category is growing at about 57%. That's the category growth. And it has happened on a last year base, which also grew by about 43%. So it is a
Yeah,
very
that's massive. And this
progress.
is, and you're talking health, Nimish, in particular, or you're
Yeah. I'm talking largely health. Okay,
okay?
I'm talking largely health because that's what been my exposure on. Okay, the numbers may be like a little different, but as an overall, I think insurance as an industry has seen a lot of adoption. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing that I've seen is that insurance typically, and I'm again kind of containing myself to health insurance because that's the kind of consumer and that's the kind of data that I've been exposed to. It's always been a male conversation. It's led by the man of the house. Okay, where women of the house have not been too much involved in the decision making. It's almost bought and sold as a financial instrument. But again, what's happened is that, and I've seen many use cases. I've seen many people, many stories that the guy who's bought the insurance is on the hospital bed, and his family has no clue what he's bought into. The guy who's running with the insurance paper is a 60-year-old father or his wife, and hence there's a lot of family participation, especially the women of the house has started talking, discussing, detailing, etc., about the health insurance, the way the product is sold, the way the benefits are built in. Okay, so this industry has become, at least the consumers have become a lot more inclusive. Okay, they are not looking at as a financial instrument. It's obviously not healthcare, but I think it's at a very sweet interjection of healthcare and financial safety. Okay, the
So,
third thing, which is very interesting, just let me complete this point,
sure, sure.
is that there is a lot of down aging that's happening. We typically see people in the age group of 35 plus buying into insurance. Now there is a lot of younger people who are buying because we've just realized that we are not as invincible as we thought we were, even when we are 25, even when we are 28 or 30, right? That Iron Man cover that Jamet talked about doesn't exist. It's fairly penetrable. So there's a lot of younger people who are buying, and a lot of younger people who are buying insurance for their parents because they know for sure that their parents do not take care of themselves as much as they do. Okay, so these three factors has shaken up the industry. What essentially I'm trying to say is there's a lot of consumer involvement, which is very good for a marketing guy, a guy who's built his career in consumer intimate categories. I feel very, very lucky to be in a category at a point in time where there's a lot of shake-up happening. And Jamith was also referring to some new internet players coming in. So it's going to be a very interesting category for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think let me and thank you, Nimesh. Let me bring in Rishi's comment here in the context of the down aging piece. And one question which comes to my mind from a customer acquisition standpoint, and of course, digital is a way to go. But as we all know, these new intermediaries, which are large consumer players, are arrived in the market. Your payment players, your Uber kind of players, and everybody. So how do you see them participating in this journey? Are they players of significance from a customer acquisition standpoint, or like, do you see them partners? Do you see them like a threat or distribution channel? Like, what's your view? And love to hear. This is part one of my question. Second is, as Canara HSBC, what are the top 2 or 3 things are on your agenda to increase the digital sales or digital adoption of the suite of products you're offering?
Thanks, Nilesh. Actually, a very relevant question that you've talked about. There are a lot of new, partners. I know Jamet started the whole discussion with the origin of it, from Policy Bazaar, and I've been fortunate enough to, kind of see it kind of grow from the time that it has started on the digital side. But I think yes, the time has now come that the ecosystem is actually expanding, and a number of customer engagement points, a number of intermediaries or partners who are now coming into play, who are actually working with the new digital customer, are actually much more kind of engaged, and therefore I think that in the future there is no reason why there will be additional opportunities opening up in terms of customer acquisition. And more than conventional opportunities, what I do see is that the very nature of what's the product that you're providing, what's the process by which you are providing and engaging to the customer will change, because an intermediary, like say for example an Ola or a or any other digital partner, or a new age non-insurance digital partner, is not going to kind of change their front end product. I mean, when I say product, I mean what they're yeah, they're not going to change that, right? They're not going to change the customer journey for an insurance kind of a tap kind of company. Therefore, the need for insurance to kind of tweak themselves, reinvent themselves, make the process as seamless for the customer as possible, is what you will see the market push itself and drive itself to do, and that's how it will evolve. And therefore I do see them emerging over a period of time, as a completely new market creator, rather than kind of coming in as competition to traditional intermediaries, but as new market creators. And you did mention about the concept of down aging, or basically simpler words, younger customers coming in, right? And that is true. That will kind of be driven by by intermediaries or people who reach out to the customers directly in the way that they would feel comfortable with, and that is an area where insurance will actually move forward. Coming to the second part of your question on Canara HSBC, I think for us, one of the things that's quite relevant, is that how digital is actually helping us, not just in terms of reaching out direct to customers, but also how it can help us reach out to our current customers and also to our current prospects, whether it's within our bank, within our partners as well. So that's where we can actually leverage the true power of digital in kind of reaching out to customers. I think it's important to note that customers at the end are the same. It's the same group of people, and then as digital usage, the smartphone usage and everything kind of grows up in and grows exponentially in the target segments, customers will expect digital engagement. They will be more comfortable with digital acquisition over a period of time. So it doesn't matter what conventional intermediary you have been reaching out with, whether it's agents or banks. Eventually you would need to have a digital process by which you acquire customers and service customers. So that's what really excites us very significantly. And just to kind of continue the conversation, yes, when you look at the pure protection part of the market, I would say that it's another view of looking at it. If you look at the digital part of the pure protection market, I think more than 2/3 is now completely digital. So it's actually a case, where certain markets are going to transition from, largely driven by conventional to driven by digital. Certain other markets will be much more resistant. They will not transition that easily. Perhaps more complicated products or where processes are, stubbornly refuse to go the digital way. So that's what will happen in my view.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. I think I have two questions which coming in, and it's open for panelists to pick up on both the questions. I mean, and one is, and Rishi, you brought out that when the channel, the distribution players, new distribution players emerge, do we talk about creating new products for that distribution setup, right? I mean, maybe there is certain certain kind of consumption on that distribution channel which can be explored. So they'll call for creation of new products, which I know is a slow process in insurance because of the regulators' involvement in approving the products. I'm not sure how. Love to hear your views there. But the second point, while we of course, digital is emerging and growing faster. But then you see HDFC acquiring Exide because of their agency business. So it's kind of a contrary view on, which basically means that the agent business is not going anywhere, and people see value in building that as a channel of acquisition. So is there a view to say, look, because market is not penetrated enough, both the channels will grow. Some will grow faster than the other versus, but the fact that both the channel has opportunity to grow is more of a reality than just saying this will do better than the other. So I'd love to hear the perspective from on the new product type creation and this other element.
You want me to go, Nilesh?
Yeah, Jamie, please.
Okay. So I think वो standard है adoption, adaptation, innovation. पहले हम adopt करते हैं, regular product होता है, उसको बोलते हैं इसको online में adopt कर दो यार. So that is the first one. Then we say नहीं यार ये simple नहीं हो रहा है, ये कुछ तो गड़बड़ हो रहा है. फिर हम लोग उसको अडेप्ट करते हैं, उसका एक छोटा सा वेरिएशन बदलते हैं, उसका एक कुछ करते हैं, उसका एक छोटा सा टिकट साइज कर देते हैं. वी डू ऑल दिस काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. देन वी रियलाइज कि भाई ये तो टेक्स यू ओनली सो मच, बट यू रियली वांट समथिंग मोर, you really need innovation, where you try and come up with a different product, you come with different pricing, different understanding, underwriting, how it is consumed, how it is settled. So the way it will get settled also will be that you'll be able to do something digital and fast. So if traditionally if you had to settle an insurance claim, I don't know, on let's say general insurance, you would have to see a bloody car कि क्या हुआ क्या. But now if you look at it saying अच्छा ठीक है सिर्फ फोटो भेज दो मैं आपको पैसा दे दूंगा. So the entire innovation process changes. Now a lot of people are right now also chatting कि ये सब दो अलग स्ट्रीम है, एक डिजिटाइजेशन. So what happens is I keep arguing that D2C has made digital sexy, but that is not digital. That is one part of it. And I believe Rishi and Nimesh, it's a part of it. It's an important part, but it's not the whole thing. The whole thing is when you take the entire value chain. Will A lead to B? For sure. Listing on an aggregator site is important for offline sales. For sure. Today you look at people, they want to buy, but they also want to see online. So they look online and they probably will buy from the neighborhood guy who's explained, who's come and spoken to you and explained what is important. But sometimes they want to see online kya hai. So we see a lot of that happening. We see a lot of the spread happening. We say that it will both help, and lessons learned here help here. अगर मैं online easy कर सकता हूँ, then the offline guy आके बोलेगा ना वो easy है तो मेरे को क्यों नहीं? So I think it is not too different. The time has come for it to be one. And when you look at it one, and you look at it fundamentally through the lens, and Nilesh, I've learned a lot of this from you, of productivity. End of the day, productivity बढ़ाओ. If the productivity बढ़ा सकते हैं, I do believe that people are not going anywhere away in a hurry. The mode will change. The productivity paradigm will change. 1:50 people hota tha. 1:100 होगा, 1:300 होगा, 1:1000 होगा, वो 1 तो होगा. And as of now, insurance as a category is so underpenetrated.
Correct.
And as percentage of GDP, percentage of everything is underpenetrated. Keep apart hai. You can keep taking in. So for me, I think it is a kid in a candy shop. Digital to insurance is the greatest job available for a guy. कि करते जाओ. It is a big market. That's what I believe.
Got it. So Nimish, let me come to you, and since I'll sort of bring a challenge question, maybe, right? So when you look at your role and what you're trying to achieve for Max Bupa, आपके सामने what are the one or two interesting questions, challenges, or on your agenda that these are the things I got to do? Maybe A, question, and B, either your peers have done it or you will be one of the first few to do it in the industry. Like, what would that be?
ये बहुत टफ सवाल है.
अच्छा.
मतलब this is a question that I'll answer maybe 4 years, 5 years down the line. But I'll tell you there are 2-3 things that I think is going to be interesting in this space. Okay. The first one is because this product is, or insurance is in some way a financial product, it has a packaging, or it has in its DNA a lot of jargons which maybe common people don't understand. And I've met a bunch of them as part of my induction and as part of my 1 or 2 launches that I've witnessed so far. A lot of people don't understand this. What is claim settlement ratio, etc., etc. A lot of stuff, and hence a large percentage of trust or belief comes in the wisdom of the crowd. As you know, I think Rishi mentioned that a lot of people go online, check what people are talking about, which is good, which is bad. अपनी कार में कौन सा टायर लगाना, kind of conversation. You don't know. Apollo अच्छा है, C8 अच्छा है. You don't know. So you trust the mechanic, and you trust your friend, and you trust 500 random people who have taken the pain to write something interesting on Quora. You don't trust yourself because you know that you don't have enough information. And actually that is true for everyone. And hence there's a lot of advocacy that sells this product. And hence one of the things that at least I am going to experiment with, I don't know how successful me and the team are going to be, is about trying to simplify the category. At least try and humanize the brand. If we can't make it an agent, let's make it something closer to an agent. Okay, why does the category work with an advisor ecosystem when most of the categories the business models have changed very, very drastically? Is because it's not that why does a consumer require, after a D2C business, there is there is a telecalling that happens, right? So the D2C business is only about lead capturing and lead nurturing. The entire business is sold through a telecaller. And the transaction ticket size is between 8,000, 10,000, 15,000. Today, people are buying home interior worth lakhs without anybody getting involved. It's just that it's a matter of trust. And the matter of trust is because they don't think that they can take that decision on their own. For them, it is lal wala katu, hara wala katu. So the point is, can we make the category simple? Can we empower the consumer to take the call on his own, not involve a third party? I think if over a period of time, and it's not a journey which will happen with 1 campaign or 2 campaigns, it will be too naive to kind of believe that. But I think one larger shift that needs to happen is to deliver the power to consumer, to make them the decision, to help them take the decision. Now, a large part of this work is being done by a regulator today. But I think as brands also, we should try to be a lot more human than the way we come across. If I look at some of the policy document wording, it looks like that you have got a farman from a lawyer.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is a
I will not name the insurer, but I have on my desk right now bank se paisa cut gaya hai, and I don't even know if I've ever bought that policy. Okay, so that farman is there already.
First time I've seen that there is a point of sale material, एक छोटा सा पोस्टर है जो कहीं जाके लगना है, उसमें जो डिस्क्लेमर है पोस्टर की हीरो लाइन से ज्यादा है. हीरो लाइन, लेट्स से कि ये इंश्योरेंस खरीदो, that's one line and there are 9 disclaimers. I think we have overcomplicated the category. This category needs a lot of humanizing, a lot of empathy, and a lot of simplification.
बिल्कुल सही कहा आपने. एक पॉइंट आपने बहुत अच्छा बोला. You really, and I've actually thought about it. In fact, I have also, as a consumer, have used YouTube as a channel to look at the views of people. Because you mentioned Quora, you did not mention YouTube. So I was just curious to know, is YouTube a popular way for people to learn and about the category, about the product, and are influencers on there talking about different products?
From
It is-
Dalgona Coffee, sorry, Rishi, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Nimish, go ahead.
From Dalgona Coffee to how to restart my Jeep Compass, which got accidentally into a accident mode, YouTube is the second largest search engine in the country.
Good one.
Absolutely. So
अगर आप फाइनेंस
add to
YouTube से
what,
नहीं सीख रहे हो तो कहाँ सीख रहे हो?
Yeah. To add to what Nimish and Jamit are saying, I think it's true. So you have to be where the consumer is, and if the consumers and I don't see this as anything different. I mean, if it I think pictures worth 1,000 words, and I think a video is worth 1,000 pictures. So I think if a short video can tell you exactly what is to be done, when your table is kind of not working, or when you need a new blender or whatever, then why not find out more about insurance? And I think the only part which is slightly different here is that the how much is the value of the brand, how much is the value of the person, and who's actually explaining it to you, and how much do you trust, because this is at the end of the day a decision which will require some degree of going out and making a payment for something completely intangible. So that is the one difference that I think all marketers will have to understand. But other than that, as a medium, definitely this would YouTube will be a major way for customers to engage with the insurance brands and to understand more. And I think all of us will agree on this panel that if one thing the insurance market does need is more understanding and education of the customers, that what is it that they are actually buying in return for their premium.
So Rishi, as you described, and of course all of us here agreed on YouTube being a important medium. So are you spending money on educating customers on YouTube as a method, and is that just you doing it, or is it a phenomenon everybody else in the industry is doing it?
No, I think we are definitely spending, and I think the industry is also spending in kind of creating, engagement content, which is relevant for the customers. And I think it's important to kind of come out with the things which are actually important to the customer. So I think that's one area which we are focusing on definitely. Because for far too long as an industry, we have focused on I'm the manufacturer, here's my product manual, here's my product manual with color, here's my product manual with better illustrations, and but still a product manual, right? And so that's what has kind of been there in the past, because there was always an expectation that you won't be direct in the face of the customer. There would be a intermediary who would earn his keep by kind of simplifying all of it to the end customer. But no, that's not going to be always the case now. You have to be able to kind of put your brand out there in a language that the average customer and the persona that you are targeting can easily understand. And that is why you do need to use YouTube, or even use more engaging content to be even simpler. I mean, we, for example, created a tax university on our website, which is explains everything about simple taxes and regular kind of stuff for everybody in a simple terms. And then obviously we've used it across multiple content platforms. So it's required. If you don't do that, you won't be so relevant to the digital customer.
So this is interesting. You said tax part, which basically is the consumers will discover your presence in forums, areas, places where they want to have some understanding and learning about tax, and they would land in there. Is that the objective, or it is if you buy my product, this is the tax benefit you get?
Yeah, so Nilesh, it's as simple as saying that that if my customer is having a problem or is not sure about something on tax, then he would typically go and search for it, right? So if he's searching for it, and if I can produce content that is good and that is really relevant and useful to the customer in a quick period of time, then he does need to first get that sorted, right? If he's got that sorted and he's seen that associated with my brand, then over a period of time he will kind of come and maybe look at my product, and that would eventually lead to a better engagement with the customer.
Let me thank you, Rishi. Let me ask another, not a question but an observation. So we would spend money, and as a marketer and a salesperson, I would also spend money in introducing, talking about what my product does and why you should buy, and all the reasonable logic around that. But do we spend the same amount of money telling people how do you claim? How do you get your claim? Do we market that? And if that is a good way to market your business, I mean, you say, here's a video on how you can, claim, register a claim, and this is how the process should be. This is how, and if there's a problem, then call me or whatever. Is that? Do you think that's a bold thing for anybody to do? I don't know. Love to hear what's the thinking.
Okay, that's an interesting one, Nilesh. I'll give you two experiences. One on the claim side as life insurance, thoda sa complicated. We can't allow you to claim in your life insurance.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Thoda sa difficult. But how do we get people to claim and useful? So I think, again, Policybazaar of the world brought about claim settlement ratios, and everybody started working around it. There are different people. I was seeing another friend of mine start Beshak.org, where he was trying to rate different people's claim experience. That also got me thinking, claim, what you're saying is right. Claim is a moment of truth. But in life insurance versus, let's say, health or motor, it's slightly different. In motor, it's a regular, the ability to claim is fairly regular. In life insurance, it's only once, and it's not you, it's somebody else who claims on your behalf. Both of which definitely for diametrically opposite reasons have to be easy, have to be simple, and have to be better off. I think today we are able to, as an industry, I'm proud that I'm in an industry where entire industry now is thinking and worried about claim settlement ratio. That means they have to underwrite the right policies and they have to settle a claim. Earlier, the days were कौन claim क्या है? I remember the good old days कि you अरे यार, I don't know how to settle claim. When anything happens, daddy's policies, what happens? Today, I think the industry, at least in life, has gone really forward. Can it be better? Can it be easier? Can the form number of fields be lower? Can it be in multiple languages? Can it be in other ways a faster and an instant claim experience? 101%. Everybody is working on it. I think, like a friend of mine said, abhi slowly claim settlement ratio 102, 103% हो जाएगा. इतना arms race हो गया है. But for sure, I think that is a big one. But is that a role for any one player to play? I think the entire industry is doing a fairly decent job of moving ahead, at least in life. And I'm fairly proud of being in that industry that is looking at that moment of truth and saying, let us measure it in settlements and in percentages. And I'm quite sure, like what we do or other people do, how many are you able to do it in a day? How many are you able to take in 2 days? How many require a little more investigation? And the pressure I think every CEO puts is to bring it down and create this moment of truth that is, I cannot say delight. It can never be a delight in claim, but let it be less painful. Let it be slightly more humane. I think this is definitely happening.
So on that count, and since we have Nimesh here, I've been a consumer of health policies myself, and claiming that in a hospital, it's still very tedious. I mean, we all know that. Do you see that changing in next few years, or it's that experience of 6-7 hours waiting will not go anywhere?
See, Nilesh, I agree with what Jamit said. If you look at the industry, right, this is an industry which will see a lot of investment in the next 5 years. You will see a lot of different business model trying to disrupt this industry within the regulatory framework. Okay. Now, because it's a very regulated industry, the products are commoditized. What I have today, somebody can file it 2 months later. It's लिखने में जितना टाइम लगता है उतना ही टाइम लगता है उसको कॉपी करने में because there's nothing else to it, right?
Right.
The difference is going to be servicing.
Okay.
And the servicing in this industry are 2-3 touch point. One is claim, which is actually when you are when the rubber hits the road. It's also renewals. When you the experience that you have, the way the policy is explained, the way consumer is educated to use the benefits that come within the policy. I think this is already a service industry, but the bar on servicing is going to be very, very high, and claims is going to go through a huge disruption. Because that's the only way one person can say that I'm better. Because at the end of the day, you're buying a promise, right? It's like a roadside assistance. I call the roadside assistance. It's Sunday, he's not picking up. It's not going to.
That was the point, right? No, you're right. I think I will not blame insurance companies entirely for that, because look, they have a process to follow, but hospitals have their own things. Like in particular, I'm talking about health maybe. There are challenges on their own front, right? I mean, which they have to solve for improving the customer experience. It's not just it's a insurance company's problem entirely. So
just one. Sorry, I just want to add one point. I think, and I have a very strong point of view. I've come from a family of doctors, right? I'm from a town called Bhopal. Everybody in my family, I'm the only black sheep. Baki sab doctor bade paisa kama rahe. I'm the only one who did engineering and MBA. But I think in the insurance industry, especially health insurance industry, one big area from a provider network that is not very adequately captured is the hospital. Okay, so the experience, what happens is the ball drops between the hospital and the insurer, and it genuinely drops.
Exactly, yeah.
Point in the best of the hospital is at the time of discharge. आप बेड पे पड़े रहते हो, आप जाने के लिए बिल्कुल तैयार हो, बिल्कुल मतलब आपने जूते वूते पहन के आप बिल्कुल तैयार हो, पर वो आपको निकाल नहीं रहे क्योंकि आपका अभी वो क्लेम आया नहीं है. You're getting, it's the best of the hospitals, and this is the
Yes.
true, right? After having spent substantial amount of money for substantial number of years, so the ball drops
There.
between the hospital and the insurer. I think there needs to be a mechanism. I think the common body, as the apex body, should try and figure out a way to do this handshake, because this handshake is not happening adequately. Of course, there are TPAs and other players, but it's not as seamless as it should be.
I think it needs a UPI moment of its own.
Yeah, correct. I think it's well said, well articulated. It does need some bit of unification.
Yeah. So let me, bring Rishi into the conversation. And I had a question and I totally missed it. Oh yeah, I remember now. So is there a concept of a cross sell which exists in this business, or we are just, these words are just used to talk about things just to kind of be, but is there a real cross sell, or most of the industry is struggling to just drive the persistency, drive the renewals only, right? I mean, what's the what's the ground reality on this?
So ground reality, Nilesh, is that I think while cross sell is important, but as of now we've really scratched the surface. So actually, and life insurance, at least particularly, is a long-term sell. So I think first of all, obviously customers need to be constantly reminded that they need to continue their policies which they already have and take the best benefits out of their current policies as well. There are often, features in their current policy itself which most customers will not at all know about, and they need to kind of, at least try and use that to the best of their ability. So I think from a customer perspective, that's the first thing that people should, understand, at least in life insurance. Cross-sell is relevant where you are, actually have a better understanding of the customer. So if you actually have a better understanding of the customer, that what is it, from a life stage perspective that the person is at right now, and therefore does he need, say for example, a little additional protection, or maybe a little bit more of health when he already has life, or maybe he already has enough health insurance, and maybe now it's kind of predisposed him to actually think about increasing his term cover, or something else which is relevant for that customer. That's the point when you can actually talk about kind of trying to reach to the customer for another selling. But yeah, you can't kind of say that almost every year you have to sell a policy to the customer. That's not really cross sell. That is just pushing more of the push which we talked about in the context of this conversation.
Got it. Yeah, I think the because I've heard in many forums and also by talking to prospects and customers about the driving persistency, like renewals is still a big challenge for both life and non-life businesses. Just retaining that customer itself is a huge challenge, and so cross sell becomes even harder because you want to just retain what you have, then you will go and sell new stuff to the customer. Also, I think there are some regulatory aspects as well in this business, which I believe will stop you from doing this for the industry. So I'll like maybe just hold on for a moment here, and since we have another 10 minutes left, we'll let audience come with any questions they have. And I think Jamit has been fabulous in answering most questions here. So he has taken off the load of from the helping audience answer questions. But Jamit, if you want to pick, or should we pick some questions from the board and bring it up for us to discuss? If you feel anything which was more, because I think
we were enjoying Nimishan, we were enjoying this. Even we were enjoying some of the comments on cross sell.
Yeah, and I picked that word from there, and I wanted to bring it out and see what the discussion is about, so that we can have a conversation.
So there is a general sense of resentment and frustration around cross sell. Every CEO and everybody else wants to have cross sell targets. Everybody wants to announce that we own a customer base that we want to cross sell to, and everybody seems to agree कि क्रॉस सेल यानी कि और स्पैम करते हैं, मार्टेक लगाते हैं और घुमाते हैं. Oh man, I would love to hear Nimish and Rishi's views on that. My views are fairly clear on all the chats.
No, I just talked about that, Jamit, that you're right, that and particularly for us in life insurance, clearly there is no opportunity to unnecessarily kind of push a policy every year down the customer's throat. So I don't think that's the right way to do it.
Every year, Rishi, I've seen balance sheets that say we push it every few months after first purchase.
Okay. Okay, that's educating me, but that's so clearly, it has to be very, very specific. It has to be driven by the understanding of the customer. Otherwise, it's just another name for kind of saving your acquisition cost and eventually finding. So it's an interesting point to say that if acquisition costs are high, then the cross sell push will also increase over a period of time. Yes. Because people say that, oh, you got a lead for free, so now let's just try and sell at least one more product on that.
Yeah, lead for free is the biggest one. I think if you just say there is a cost of trust as opposed to lead for free, I think the whole conversation will change.
Yeah.
You got this guy, now you trusted him, and every rubbish email that you send him is -1. Every email that he does not open, -2. Every one that lands in spam, -3. Now you think if you have only 100 points per customer in his lifetime, and if he clicks, then only you will get +1. And now if you run your marketing campaigns now, which is from a trust score as opposed to a free lead perspective, तब सबको अपनी नानी याद आएगी और क्रॉस सेल समझ में आएगा कि होता क्या है.
नहीं, मेरे ख्याल से आई थिंक एक इंटरेस्टिंग आपने पॉइंट बोला, and I am not sure if it's an idea worth trying, but instead of selling, if you just send them videos of how people have how people got their claims, I think that itself will be huge marketing in my view, because it's like not -1. It's like you're actually giving them stuff which is you have a customer story to tell and why they benefited by working with your brand. and stuff like that. I think.
So you know what? Just one. I was speaking to somebody at the Taj, and he asked me one simple question: what is your open rate? And we were very excited. Hamara, we've done well. We were at 5. Now then we went to 15. Now we are at 22 and all that. We were very excited. He said, you know what? My open rate was 76%. I'm like, open rate 76%. He said very simple thing. Before we send a mail, we ask a simple question: why should the customer receive this? Like, boss, interesting question. Now when you look at it and say 76% open rate होनी चाहिए, अब बोल ना कौन सा ईमेल भेज रहा है तू? YouTube लिंक भेज रहा है, ईमेल भेज रहा है, रीटारगेट कर रहा है. Why should anybody listen because you just want to open your mouth?
Correct.
Yeah, so I think it's further to this whole point which I was talking about earlier, that that we've not still got over our point of reconverting our product manual in color and pushing it out again. So yeah, we have to think from the customer's perspective, and I think this is also important for us as a industry to and particularly on life, Jamit, as we talked about on the claim side, because Nilesh has been asking about this question about informing customers about how they can claim better. I think that's if the industry has to take up one kind of a cause, then I think one thing which the industry should definitely do is to definitely talk about have you made sure that your loved ones and all the people in your family know where your life insurance policy is, where those details are, where is it kept. In that unfortunate situation, what will you do? What is to ensure that you have you written in bold letters on top of your insurance policy stack, don't panic, and then do A, B, C, D, and that's how you can kind of get there and reach out. Has that been done? Has that communication reached customers? And I'm sure if you actually are able to communicate that effectively, I'm sure those emails will definitely get opened, and perhaps more importantly, not just get opened, will also get discussed with their with that message. I think that is at least one area which as an industry we should definitely work on. And I'm sure I'd love to hear Nimish's view on this as well, because there the claim incidence is obviously much higher. So it's not just to the family, but actually to yourself. What to do when you're hospitalized. What's the best thing to do in those situations?
Yeah. Nimish, go ahead.
Yeah, very, very quickly. 2 points. One is on claim. I think it's a very interesting thought, Nilesh. It's very interesting thought. Telling people how to claim, it builds a lot of trust.
Correct.
Nobody has done it. There's a reason for it. Your claim is cost. Okay. But I think from a consumer standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. There is merit in this thought. Going back to the conversation on cross-sell, my view on cross-sell is that it is very similar to a one-sided love affair. He's convinced on what he wants to talk to you. Before you
50% प्यार मेरे को हो गया है.
Before you answer the phone, that guy is convinced he has a home loan which I want to transfer to a different bank, irrespective of whether he has a home loan or not in the first place. So it's a very manufacturer's obsession syndrome of sort, that I'm obsessed because I've got 5 products and I believe all 5 products are important for him. He may not even know the product. He's bought a product from you and it is due for renewal, and what are the policies. I think Rishi made that point. It's got to be far more intuitive. It's got to be far more organic. It's got to be far more data led. Now, I think this is a place where at least I'm very happy to say that Max Buba is putting in a lot of effort to try and understand what has been the history of his claims. Thankfully, the guy still exists in our business after the claim has done. So understanding what is the different ailments, if he has a certain kind of a critical illness, does a certain kind of a product improve his protection? Okay, I think it's more a counselor approach than a salesman approach. You are in the business of ensuring health, and hence the approach, the tonality, the tenor, the gravitas has to be very, very different. Okay, I'll give a very simple example. I called Clove Dental and somebody who picks the call on the other end says, I'm Dr. Rashmi speaking. Now that Rashmi may not be a doctor, or maybe she's a doctor, I don't know. But the moment I hear that Dr. Rashmi speaking, I stand up from my chair and saying, बहुत दर्द हो रहा है दांत में. You know, you have to build trust at the first moment of truth, and this needs a bit of rethinking, repurpose, realignment, recalibration, because it's not a selling exercise, it's a branding exercise. Okay, Indigo a long time back did, on time thing. They branded a commodity by building a promise which was given compared to a rail travel and air travel. It is given that you will be reaching earlier, but will you reach on time? I think that made the difference. So I think it requires a little bit of a different mindset in terms of course, there are consumers who genuinely would need things that they don't know, right? That's the truth of life. And that's the reason the concept of cross-sell or upsell exists in the first place. But how do you want to sell him? Because you have a target on your back, or because you've gone through his history and you know that he's got a senior citizen, and there is a senior citizen product that your company has launched, and he may benefit the most out of it. That changes the arrangement.
The conversation. No, you're right. I think the in any marketing and selling process, I mean, trust becomes the fundamental thing of why people actually buy. And you pick anything, especially in the consumer side of the house, that becomes the most important thing. So we are just we're at 4, but I have Nimish. You did answer the question on challenges. I didn't take those questions for Jamit and Rishi. So very quickly, Jamit, what are the 1, 2, 3 challenges really top of your mind in what you're doing right now, which I won't say which bothers you, but which really keeps you busy or thinking about it and how to solve?
I think the big one is honestly trying to somewhere get a justification for all the kind of spends that we are trying to do, trying to get people aligned, trying to get culture aligned. So see, COVID was a perfect storm for most of us. So today I often say that we are a very lucky generation that we lived in a digital job where in the last 5 years we had 3 perfect storms. Life में एक होता है, हमारे पास 3 मिला, एक डीमॉन हुआ, फिर एक जियो रेवोल्यूशन हुआ, and अभी ये कोविड हुआ. To my mind, 3 perfect storms coming in the span of 5-6 years is amazing for digital. So a lot of the work has already been done. The hard heavy lifting has been done. The challenge is to deliver on the promise. Now what happens is that earlier people used to look at you and say, ये को digital है क्या कर सकता है? अब people look at you and say digital है सब कुछ कर सकता है. Now there is a reverse problem. So you have an expectation gap. You have to perform to expectations. You have to figure out priority. Everybody wants everything fast. How to prioritize, how to pick up, how to choose the right projects, and how to unravel it for the entire firm. And when there is expectation on you, can't भाई शाहरुख खान घूम रहा है तो फ्लॉप नहीं डिलीवर कर सकता है, खा जाता है सब लोग उसको. So digital guys are now Shahrukh Khans, and everybody is looking at them कि अब तो हिट ही हिट है. And everybody in digital knows 1-2 हिट होती है, एक तो फ्लॉप भी जाएगा, फीचर्स हिट भी जाएगा, 2-4 एकदम बकवास फीचर्स तुम निकालोगे जो तुम you think is like the world's best thing. These are the bigger problems that I think digital per se is facing in a perfect storm. How do you navigate correctly and gain some respect for it?
Thank you, Jamit. Rishi, what's on your mind as top 1, 2 challenges, problems which keeps
so
you?
I think one of the things that is important for people to understand and recognize who are in the digital space is that I don't think we have as yet figured out the economic logic of how to run digital in an efficient manner, and the cost of acquisitions kind of being in the right efficiency level as yet. So I think that is definitely always a challenge for people who are on the digital space, and that's something that does. The other very important thing is the perception of digital. I mean, what is digital, and that is a continuing education that needs to be done, and why the older standards don't work, or why customer expectations keep moving very quickly up every few months or whatever on that front. And more importantly, on servicing, on understanding how the customer would like to be serviced, how it would like to be kind of how do you do your renewals, how do you do your calling, how do you do your engagement on the journey. Those are all areas which need a much wider understanding. It's not important for just 2 or 3 people to understand, but a broader understanding within companies on what digital is and why the customer experience is so critical to it. These, I think, are the two main, competing areas of challenge. Very often they will contradict each other because we want to invest in creating much better customer experience, which doesn't come cheap. And at the same point in time, you have to grow scale as well, because sometimes these two things are linked. And how do you do that while kind of maintaining some semblance of economics in it? So
Got it.
this is the challenge actually.
Thank you so much, Rishi. I think probably we are running behind the time. We got extra 4 minutes. Sorry, I've taken more time of yours, but I thought we'll just completely round up the last question I had in mind. I think Jamit probably had a meeting; he might have exited. So thank you, Jamit, if you're still listening, and Nimish, thank you so much for being here. And I have a question or two for you, which I'll write to you on LinkedIn. Hopefully, I'll get a response. And thank you so much, Rishi, for joining this forum. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure, and really look forward, to connecting even after this conference with all three of you.
Absolutely. Jamit, we lost you for a moment, but I thought
Yes.
we had a meeting. But thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
And really appreciate, always pleasure meeting you and talking to you. And I'm glad you did most of the, and Nimish, both of you did most of the Q&A. I think we've got a lot of material now with us to write a blog post on it. But I'll just conclude with one point, and I have actually in high concurrence with Nimish's thought on simplifying the product. I have actually thought about it myself. This whole idea of why are we not doing a better job of explaining the product, and so I think that's a beautiful idea, Nimish. Love to see how you solve that problem, and love to see how it comes out. So looking forward to that eagerly. With that, thank you so much, and thank you, audience.
Sorry, I never claimed I'll solve it.
Sorry.
Good thought, but we'll definitely kind of start on that journey. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure speaking to Nilesh, Rishi, and Jamit. Hopefully, we would stay in touch. Thank you so much, guys. Bye bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Amazing. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.